I don't know who you are
Mm,
or why you're on my computer, but gosh darn it, I really like your look.
yeah,
Who, who are you?
you're very handsome yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I've been studying. I got that book that's on the shelf behind you, and I've been
yeah,
studying that, and I've been
hmm
going for that look, and I'm getting close.
yeah,
I'm getting
yeah.
close.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, you
Well,
just you.
who are you? Who is this man on my screen? Tell me all about you.
What's going on, brother? My name is James Robilotta. Super excited to be kicking it with you. Not
Yep.
because you're extremely handsome,
Yep. Yep.
not only because I should say, but yeah, man, professional speaker. And been in the game since been in the game since 2011, and been doing it full time for a long time. But yeah, before that, I was a higher ed professional. I worked in residence life and campus activities, new student orientation. I was a total nerd in all of those ways, and still proudly am actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, since becoming a professional speaker, I wrote a book. It's behind me. This is called Product Placement. The movies taught me this.
Right. Oh,
And
it's good.
it's called yeah, man. It's called Leading Imperfectly. It's about the
Yeah.
role that authenticity and vulnerability play in leadership.
I love it. I love it. I love everything about it, and I love everything about you. And I'm honored that you're here. So thanks for coming. You're in Minneapolis right now, and the sun
Yes.
is shining through the window.
Yes.
Like the gods are shining on you. Like it's a spotlight. Like you don't need one of those donuts to put over on your computer. You just got like
Yeah.
the sun. Hey, so you've said a lot of smart things in your life, and
Wow.
I want to quote you. Because we're talking about this time in our lives, we're late summer, going into the fall. You've worked in higher ed, you work with schools, you work with students, you work with advisors, you work with a lot of folks in higher ed. What are you doing to bring you life? What are you doing to bring you life? You said this, and I'm quoting you. When I saw your interview on Phil Donahue's show, you said, I do a lot of good things to decompress, but it's more effective when I do things that bring me life. What do you mean?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. First off, shout out to that Phil Donahue
Yeah,
reference. I hope you also watched my Ricky Lake interview.
yeah,
Um, um, but yeah, man, it's funny. I think that in our time, we often think about work-life balance from this idea, and I know you've had other people talk about work-life balance, but for me, the one layer deeper that I take it, it's not just a matter of holding 1 hour of your time sacred a week, right? It's thinking about, it's not just work's fault. At work, you have to be more productive than busy, but when you get home, it's also home's fault. What are
yeah,
you doing at home that brings you life? Like, it's okay to decompress. Please watch some trashy TV, eat some junk food, read a book, whatever it is that you love to do. Crush a red wine or an IPA, whatever it is that you love to do to decompress. That's a win. But after that, what do you do? Because if your whole life is just go to work, feel like you're busy all day, have to come home, have to decompress,
yeah,
and then you do nothing, and the next day wake up, decompress, and you just kind of go in this cycle, you become inactive. And so
yeah,
doing things that bring you life is super important. They make you show up better when you show up to work, and they make you show up better when you walk into your front door. Or
yeah.
in the case of quarantine, when you move from your kitchen table to your couch. Just they make you show up better in both of those places. And so, yeah, that's what we talk about, man, about bringing, you got to do something that makes you feel alive, right?
Right,
Like, it's
right.
so easy to get stuck in the rat race.
Yeah. And are there things? I mean, I know you've written a book. Are you working on some new projects right now? Are you? I mean, I know you're a creative. Like your mind's always spinning, right? But did you
Yes.
pick up any new hobbies this in the last 4 months? Things that you weren't doing before that you're now doing?
I am honestly a workaholic,
Yeah.
and
Okay. All
so
right.
that's yeah. But fortunately, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, so it's one of those things where it's been like, what are the cool things that I could try to do right now? So I've been doing free weekly webinars, which has been a
Right.
really cool
Yeah.
way to stretch.
Right.
And just like, hey, what do let me come up with a supervision spectrum and strategy and theory. Let me come up with a feedback theory. Let me come back
Right.
with an allyship spectrum, right? Like stuff like that. And so that's been really cool to come up with more visual ways to talk about things that I'm passionate about.
Right.
And then I also started a Facebook Live, will hopefully one day be streaming TV show. And that was kind of my big thing where I got out of my own way. It's called Diner Talks with James. And I have what I'm trying to do is emulate those late night conversations that you have with your best friends that you never want to leave over meals that you shouldn't be eating.
Right. That's cool. So there will be food.
Ideally will be getting served diner food at this. In the meantime, I have a diner mug and I'm on Facebook Live.
Right. That's very cool. Those are different than the webinar.
Yeah, they're different. Yeah. Webinars are every Thursday at noon Eastern. And the noon Eastern, 1 o'clock Eastern. I don't know. Either way. But
probably somewhere on your website. But so your point is,
the Diner Talks is Wednesday nights at 9.
Wednesday nights at 9 on the East Coast. But that's the thing. Like when I say, what are you doing to bring you life? Like your advice is to just go do something that's not decompressing. Like you're creating. You're not just consuming the decompression. You're creating. You're somebody who's building new things into the world, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So for sure. And you're gonna get. That's the advice you would say to other people who are like working their butts off during the day, coming home and decompressing. Put something in your life. Add something else. The creative element, right?
Yeah. I mean, what a gift to ourselves to remind us that we're not stuck. Yeah, right? That we are good at something, that we're not just like, especially right now when you're being told, all right, I need you to come up with 3 plans, give or take, where the moon is going to be in its lunar cycle and COVID-19. And then we may use one of those, or we may ask you to come up with a 4th plan on the spot. That idea that you cannot control what's happening right now in your life, find something that you can control, which is your happiness when you're outside of work.
Yeah. Yeah. And, on that sort of thing, even when you're trying something new, how many things have you tried? And I think how many things that you tried that you really wanted to succeed that didn't go the way you had planned?
I am the kind of person who has 800 ideas and I've done 2 of them. Right. Like that is kind of, I've started a lot of things. If you look at my computer, I got 97 tabs open. I'm sorry, type A friends. And so some of that's related to my ADHD. For sure. I'm great at starting things and not always great at finishing them. But I mean, as far as some of those things, I finished this book. This book about 5 years ago. And I started my next one the next month. For a couple of reasons. One, I didn't think this was good enough. And so I was like, well, make the next one better. I just picked up that book, like opened up the file on my computer for the first time in 5 years yesterday. Wow. And I wrote 2,000 words and I said, okay, let's come back to this. But that was 5 years of, I thought I would do it. And then it just didn't happen.
Yeah, the reason I was asking you about that is sort of thinking about all the advisors that we work with, right? All the higher ed pros that we work with. When we're asking them to put something new into their life, when we're asking them to, or sort of recommending to add something in their life, it doesn't have to go well, right? Like you can try to play tennis and you can find out that you're not a naturally gifted tennis player. You can try to pickle vegetables and find out that you can't put the lid on a jar. But the important thing is to continue to try. I've never said that before in my life. I think that was a really good example.
Yeah, save that.
Right?
Yeah.
I am going to save that. But that lesson that it's okay to try a bunch of stuff. Like even if you're at a level of your profession, right, where you think you're cruising and you got fancy clothes and a nice button-down shirt, that you can still try something. I'm really looking for that tidbit to share with folks, that when you're excited to do something after work, when you're excited to do something, right? Yeah. Even if you don't know if it's going to go well, like think of all the things you've always wondered. Oh, I've always wanted to learn how to play the trumpet. I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano. I've always wanted to learn. I want to paint. I think I'd like to learn how to paint. Like now's a great time to add that in.
Yeah, for sure. And I understand why people maybe took the first couple of months of COVID off, right? Of just
Yeah.
like, this is a lot, this is whatever. Like, I get it. You earned that time. Take a minute. It's very
Yeah.
rare. It is very rare though that we are given the gift of time. And we have
Yeah.
been given the gift of time during this weird period. And I know for me, this is a little morbid, so stick with me. I live my life based on what I want to be said in my eulogy.
Okay.
And which what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to live a bunch of badass stories, right? And so in order to live a badass story, you have to do badass things, and which just means try exactly what you said, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like, I don't want the story of like, well, he wore out his couch and he had to buy a new couch, right? It's like, yeah, he tried this. Yeah, he dropped the ball here. Yeah, he lost
Yeah.
some money here. Yeah, he, found some success here.
Right.
It's not a matter of, badass stories don't end always in success, but they do end in a really cool story that's fun to share. And I want to live a life that is worth telling stories about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. Tripping with swag.
Yes, sir.
Tripping with swag. Talk to me about tripping with swag.
So yeah, so I did a TEDx talk in Tucson, Arizona, and it was all about this concept of tripping with swag. And now, tripping with swag, what that means is that, I mean, Jason, I'm sure you've been walking before, and then you've caught that toe somewhere and you've tripped, and then you're like, nah, I'm just gonna take a quick jog real quick. It's like, I'll try to close these rings on this Apple Watch real quick, right? And then so you like play it off, or you make a comment where you're like, oh, right, like, and you like, it's like make it bigger than it needed to be for whatever reason, just to be like, I got it, everybody.
Right.
I know how to walk. It's kind of like when you choke on your own spit and you're like, cool, can't even swallow anymore. I'm doing great at life. I'm winning right now, right? But you play it off with the joke, you play it off with a little bit of a run, whatever. So that is exactly what we're talking about here today, brother, where you have to start, right? When is the last time that you started something? And I think that's what tripping a swag is, like getting going, because you know how to walk. And you got to stay in mode. You can't be afraid to trip, but so many people are afraid of falling on their face and failing or rejection or stuff like that. Yeah. Understandably, because of backstories and things like that. But still, those are stories that you're telling yourself that are not enabling you to start.
Yeah. And also the modeling of the behavior. If we're willing to trip with swag, what message does that send to our students?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
We're not only modeling, we're not pretending to never trip, right? If our students only see us in a world that we never take chances, then we're encouraging our students to never take chances too, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. Right. Yeah. You were hired not because you were the most perfect. You were hired because you were the most trusted. And there's a big difference in there, right? Like, and they trusted that if you did fail, you would own it and move on and take responsibility. A novel concept of leadership, taking responsibility, and keep it moving and teach the lesson. Yeah, for sure.
I think the words that you used on one of the other TV shows that I watched, you said, role model the trial and error, not the finished product.
Yeah, brother.
I'm quoting you there. You don't remember this, but I've studied your tapes.
Yeah.
I've studied your tapes. I've read your book. Your book.
That was back in Jerry Springer's old days before he realized he made money off just making people fight, like when he cared about what people said. Yeah.
You were the original bouncer. Am I wrong in saying that? Weren't you?
Yes, I was. Yeah, yeah. And then they're like, we need a bald guy in here and they replace me. Like, you're too hairy to be a bouncer. People are gonna.
Right. Yeah. No. Jerry was hair jealous. Jerry was hair jealous. And Jerry's
fact about Jerry Springer, can't grow a beard.
No, he can't. It's one of his big hangups. I mean, I think that's what ultimately happened to his unfortunate, change of career. And, but anyway, improv. You are an improv guy. And did you start that in college? Did you start that after college?
Yeah, so I watched Whose Line Is It Anyway in college
Yeah.
and loved it, and had there was a team at my college that a buddy started, but he wasn't really serious about leading it, and so we literally did one show in 2 years, and we had like 6 practices in 2 years. But then when I got to graduate school at Clemson, when I got to graduate school at Clemson, they had a very serious team, and we would perform monthly and rehearse bi-weekly. Is that every other? That's twice a week, right? Bi-weekly.
Yeah, it was. It was this week. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And then I went to after that, I took a job in Res Life in New York City because I wanted to work in a city that had a great comedy scene and live for free. And so I worked in Res Life in New York City and studied at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater.
That's very cool. And how long were you there? A couple of years?
I studied at the UCB for maybe six years or something like that. Yeah. Started my own team. I started a team called North Coast. We incorporate freestyle rapping into long form improv, which means if you come and see one of our shows, we get one suggestion up top and we do a 45-minute hip opera based on that suggestion with a live beatboxer and stuff like that. It's pretty dope.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Say less.
Come on. So when was the first time you did a freestyle rap?
First time I did a freestyle rap was in my college residence hall room after listening to some of my residents across the street. And by street, I mean hallway. We had really wide hallways. No. I listened to them freestyle rap and I was like, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I'm allowed to do that. I had no idea. And so I kind of rapped to myself for a little while, and then probably was graduate school where I started having a little bit more fun with it.
Right. And I guess the practice makes you more confident.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And
so that you're willing to trip. You're willing to just go for it.
Yeah. I mean, freestyle rapping is nothing but a series of tripping, right? Because you don't know exactly, you haven't written it. And so you don't know exactly what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, if you say one word at the end of one bar and you're like, okay, shoot, I got to figure out what the hell rhymes with that at the end of this couplet. And you may just have to make up a word, but then you just, you do it with swag and you come right back, right? Like when you think about hip hop is more like 90% energy and 10% rhyme.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's the swagger of hip hop that is really what makes us fall in love with it oftentimes, right. and also the lyrics too.
Yeah, yeah. Are you in a position right now, or is the lighting okay for a freestyle? Are you ready for a freestyle rap?
Ready's an interesting word, but we can give it a go.
Now, if I just threw out a word, you would just go with it?
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. And then if you want to throw in a couple other ones while I'm going,
right.
let's see how it'll work. Let's see. Let's trip with swag.
Trombone.
Okay. Every day I step out here with the sass. Know your boy coming loud. Yeah, I bring it with the breath. Oh yeah, now you a sad boy all day. I'll be running all day like a toy. Okay.
Residence Hall.
With the battery. I'm coming out here. No assault. What? Okay, now we're here. A residence hall. I'm having a residence ball. I'm hanging out with my residents, y'all. Okay, now here, look at my bulletin board. Okay, yeah, gonna go snore.
Orientation.
Gotta do a lockout. Okay, come here, never box out. I'll write you up. I'll document you. It's okay. I'll orient you. Orientation coming out here all day. Know your boy better stay clear. Listen here. You best get involved because I want you to get the problem solved. You got to make connections. The last hit here. You got to all day. Please hold on the beer. You should just kind of kick it and make some friends, and they will last you the very end. Graduation, I'll be flipping the mortarboard. It's okay because I'm going to sit in the sorta yard. Sorta yard? I don't know what the hell that meant. It doesn't mean because I'm coming fresh like Efferdent. Oh, yeah, that's right. I got the chompers in. I'm coming here. No, I'm about to bring it in. Okay, we got the graduation all day coming through all day with my GPA. Truth be told, I had a 2.73. It's not the best. It's okay. I'm now out here, see? I'm doing my thing. I'm teaching the lessons. It's all good. Hope I'm making good impressions.
That was great. That was so much fun.
Acapella, y'all. Acapella.
Yeah, acapella. You didn't need a beatboxer. You were just stomping your foot. Man, that was okay. I get it.
No, it's interesting because you're a musician yourself.
Yeah.
And an extremely talented one at that. Do you look forward to opportunities to do improvisation? Like, do you have a background in jazz and some of that kind of stuff? And is that something that you look forward to?
I do have a background in jazz. So I went to college on a jazz scholarship, which is
Oh, incredible.
not a well-known fact. And so I really do love the improv, but I also, one of the things that happens to me on stage is that maybe I have a similar brain to yours, is that I notice everything going on in the room.
Yeah.
So I incorporate in my songs, and I know my songs well enough that I don't have to stick to them anymore, right? So I will just sing about people in the crowd, right?
Yes.
But and I think that's one of the sort of like the, you know, the fun things for an audience is that we, you know, once you can let go of the things that you know and bring in other influences, it's more exciting for me to perform that way. But I think it's also just a much more fun show for the audience, right? It's more because you're always on the verge of tripping. Like you're all like, and they're always mess ups. I forget words even when I'm singing verses that I know.
Yeah.
Right. And I played. So I went to college with a drum scholarship, and so I play percussion. And on stages, I oftentimes grab a trash can or grab a recycle bin, and I'll sing an a cappella song. But I'm very comfortable there because I'm not worried about failure.
Yes.
I'm not worried about failure. So it frees you up to just do it because you know that moment's so tiny in the day.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't work. But then you're doing the next thing, and everyone's with you on the next thing. They've already forgotten as well. Right? You've moved on. Enough about me. I mean, so thanks for asking, though. Yeah. So it is. I love, but the your ability to stay, like as a drummer, the beat is super important for me, and you stayed on the beat the whole time. Thank you. Like you were, like, you know.
An internal metronome.
Yeah, well, you know, I hear solo performers all the time who use looping pedals, and if the beat is just slightly off, it's one of those things that really just it pull my feelings fall out, you know.
Yes.
And
yes.
but I'm glad they're taking the chance to try it. I'm glad they're taking the chance to try it, right? No, but just I think that you're like we right now, it's a crazy messed up chapter of all of our lives.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of people alone out there. There's a lot of people who don't necessarily feel connected to their community. And we work with them. And we communicate with them, and they're all over the country. And so like I really I know that you have a lot of thoughts and love for everybody because you care about students, but you care about the people who care about students, right?
Yeah.
And that's your background. So
yeah, absolutely, brother. And I think it's interesting. One of the number one rule in improv that you always hear is yes and, right? Mm-hmm. And how can we live a culture of yes and saying and building up on each other? Like right now we're in a big like no but situation or yes but situation. So how can we try to figure out ways to say yes to individuals, even if we can't say yes to their ideas? Can we say yes to their brains to let them know like, hey, keep spitting out ideas that something's going to stick? And then the other thing that I think the other big rule of improv that applies right now is the idea that you should make your scene partners look good, right? Yeah. And in the middle of uncertainty and ambiguity, sometimes we get a little more selfish, right? It's like, I got to make sure I come out of this thing alive. And that's understandable, right? It's like classic Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's all the way down at the bottom. You got to take care of you first. But that idea of making each other look good is a really powerful thing right now, especially.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The way that I frame that is that like you create rock star moments for other people, and when you do that, you're creating a rock star moment for yourself.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, that's my rock star philosophy. Right?
Let's get it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned about that back when you were on the early days of Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah. So I saw your interview. Yeah.
I did her high school show. She was a host when she was in high school.
Yeah. Back when she did the NACA circuit.
Yeah. I was her yearbook advisor. I was
nice.
Yeah. Man, this has been a fun conversation. You got some good thoughts out there to spread the love to the higher ed world. I appreciate it.
Oh, brother, I can't thank you enough for letting me be a part of this project, man.
Any thoughts, final thoughts, the words of wisdom? If you're standing there, you're the light from the sky, the clouds have parted, and you've got like these are my thoughts, my people. I'm at the church of J-Rob right now.
For sure. I think a lot of us are scared, especially when we don't know what's going on, to be vulnerable. And to be open, where this is the exact time where that vulnerability, where that authenticity is actually going to shine. And vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but if vulnerability is such a weakness, and why is it so damn hard, right? And so this is the moment where no one knows what is happening. So let's talk. Right.
Yeah.
Let us move towards the fire instead of away from it,
Yeah.
and lean into the imperfection of life.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being here.
Appreciate you. Anytime I get to hang out with a handsome man, I'm in.
I'm kind of hugging you.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of hugging you.
Thanks.
Thank
Yep,
you.
for sure. Okay.
That was good.
That's it.
Safe. That was at least 6 feet.
A strong 6 feet. Yep.
No, it's strong. Hey, have a great night. Say hello to all the nice folks up in Minnesota.
Will do. Thank you so much. And you be well down there in Nashville.
Thanks, James.
Take care,
See you
brother.
later.
See you.
Bye-bye.